What would it really take to raise Carrot in the real world? No anime, no scripts, no checkpoints, just instinct, growth, and consequences. Today, we're simulating the impossible. From a tiny rabbit hatchling to one of the fastest and most mysterious creatures I've ever encountered. And the story began far away from the city, deep inside a forgotten forest. It was late evening when I arrived. The forest was silent, too silent. My drone had picked up strange electrical signals coming from this area. Something was hiding out here, something unusual. I followed the signal deeper between the trees until I reached a clearing, and that's when I saw it. A strange wooden crate sitting in the middle of the forest, half buried under leaves, no markings, no lock, just a faint glow leaking from inside. I slowly opened the lid. Inside the crate was a soft nest made from straw and leaves, and in the center of the nest, an egg, but not a normal egg. The shell was pale white with faint lightning-shaped lines glowing across its surface. It moved, just slightly. I froze. Something was alive inside. The shell trembled again. Then a crack appeared. Another crack spread across the surface. The egg shook violently. And suddenly, it broke open. A tiny white creature rolled out of the shell. Long ears, soft fur, small paws, and bright, curious eyes. A baby rabbit. But something about her felt different. She stood up on two legs, balanced perfectly. Then she tilted her head and looked straight at me, like she was studying me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I gently wrapped her in a blanket and carried her home. That was the moment everything changed. Back home, I built her a habitat. A large garden enclosure filled with grass, flowers, and small trees. Soft soil for digging, rocks for climbing, and a small wooden shelter where she could sleep. The moment I placed her inside, she began exploring, jumping across the grass, sniffing every flower. Rolling in the dirt, she moved incredibly fast. Faster than any rabbit I had ever seen. I decided to name her Carrot. The first few weeks were peaceful. Carrot grew quickly. She loved fruits, especially carrots and apples, but she was also incredibly energetic. She jumped higher than any rabbit should, climbed trees, and sometimes ran so fast I could barely see her. But the strangest moment came one morning. I opened the enclosure gate, and Carrot dashed past me like lightning. Within seconds, she was at the other side of the yard. She looked back proudly, like she was challenging me to chase her. That's when I realized something. Carrot wasn't just fast. She was unbelievably fast. Over the next few months, Carrot became stronger. She practiced jumping between tree branches, climbing rocks, and sprinting across the field. But something even stranger happened. Carrot started generating small sparks of electricity. At first it was tiny, just a small flicker when she moved, but slowly the sparks became stronger. One night while she was running across the yard, the air crackled with electricity. Her fur stood on end, and lightning briefly flashed around her paws. Whatever Carrot was, she was evolving, but peaceful days never last forever. One evening, the forest grew quiet again. Too quiet. Carrot froze. Her ears twitched. Something was approaching. Large footsteps echoed between the trees. Branches snapped. Then a massive predator stepped into the clearing. A wild wolf, hungry, and focused on Carrot. The wolf lunged forward, fast, but Carrot was faster. She jumped sideways, then sprinted forward like a flash of white lightning. The wolf chased her through the trees, but Carrot moved so quickly she seemed to disappear. Then suddenly, she leaped high into the air, higher than I had ever seen, and landed behind the wolf. A burst of electricity exploded around her paws. The wolf froze in shock, then slowly backed away into the forest. Carrot stood there, calm, victorious. But the most incredible moment came a few nights later. The full moon rose above the forest, bright and silent. Carrot stepped outside and looked up. Suddenly, her body began glowing. Her white fur shimmered in the moonlight. Electricity surged across her entire body. Her speed increased. Her eyes glowed bright. She had transformed into something far more powerful. A creature of pure speed and lightning. The next morning I realized something important. Carrot didn't belong inside an enclosure anymore. Creatures like her were meant to run free, across forests, across mountains, across the wild world. So I opened the gate. Carrot stepped forward slowly. Then she turned and looked back at me, almost like she understood everything. Then she ran, across the field, through the trees, and within seconds, she disappeared like a flash of lightning. But sometimes at night, when the wind moves through the forest, I swear I still see something. A white blur racing between the trees. And if Carrot is still out there, something tells me her story is only just beginning.